All right, all right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. It's Freestyle Friday, but today we're not playing any games. Serious talk right here. I have to my left, right, my brother from another mother, Mr. Ephraim Reparations Terrell in the building, as well as we have a special guest, our new cousin of Legacy, Dr. J.L. Adolph in the building. So we're going to have a great conversation. As you can see, we're talking about, will remote learning become the standard? We're going to talk about how that can happen, why it may not happen, and what could it look like if it was to happen. And we're going to dig into all of that. You know how we do. Make sure you share, make sure you tag somebody. It's going to be an amazing conversation. Make sure you are inboxing everybody. If you get in Facebook jail, I will bail you out, as well as the text community. Make sure you share that as well. And I think I didn't share it with my text community. I'm slipping today. All right. So we're going to dig into it. We're going to get into our intro. I'm going to share it to my peoples, and we'll be right back after this. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. There we go. Welcome back.
Right.
Welcome back.
Got to get one of those gangster shirts. Man.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Gotta get one. Gotta get one. If you don't have one, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You definitely need to get one. Oh, so make sure you are, like I said, sharing. Sharing is caring, and all that, and then some. So today, like I said, we're talking about. Put this up. Got way too much happening in one moment. Will remote learning become the standard? Will remote learning become the standard? So, Ephraim, your kids are currently in class, right? Or in school?
Yeah,
actually
currently
in person. Okay. And Dr. JL, I didn't ask. I know you have young ones. Your kids are in person as well.
Yeah, my babies are 16 now, 16-year-old twin boys now. But yeah, they are in person and in school.
Nice. And for mine, we couldn't trust it. We went to the open house, and my wife told me later, she said I was really, really nervous already. And I was pushing myself to be comfortable. You go in the classroom and they were like really close, and we asked the teachers, and even the teachers had the face of concern. It's like the teacher's like, I tried to configure every single way to get the same amount of kids in this class and did not. This is the best I can do. I'm looking like it almost looks like pre-COVID, and then hold on. We went to another class. The lady's like, I don't like these masks. She's like, I'm vaccinated. She takes it off, takes it on. Like she was trying to keep it on. Like, I need to breathe. I was like, you ain't gonna wear this during class because you're gonna take it off when we adults aren't around. And the kids ain't gonna say anything. But then the last thing. Let me
see.
Oh, hey, are you?
No, I was talking to my mom. Was on the. She just called me and asked me where you guys were because she said she doesn't see you.
Oh yeah, we here. We in the building.
I just told her you can hear the talk. You're interrupting BOL, Mom. You're interrupting BOL.
Yeah.
All right, your network is slow. All right, love you.
Oh yeah. So the last girl was my daughter was with my daughter and someone in the hallway. One of my daughter's friends came up to was like, Alexis, no mask, no nothing, trying to run up on her.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, no,
That's a hard one.
I can't. I don't. I can't. I'm already concerned. I think the law was just like, I need you to see this stuff first and then make the decision. And we constantly get emails for the cases that are happening in the school. So I was like, oh. And my daughter's like, she sucks every germ. My son is fine. He like me. He don't get sick and stuff. My daughter, she just anything and everything she get. So I was like, so we made the decision to stay home. And I know Pastor has a senior, and a first year college student, and of course they are in person.
What university?
She's at Georgia State.
Okay, GSU. Okay,
Yes, indeed.
Okay, that's where I teach as well. Well, I teach at GSU Perimeter College, so I'm at Perimeter College. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So yes, we're gonna
everybody calling my phone. No, we on Brothers
a lively conversation.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. So if virtual was to happen, I'm gonna ask you, Mr. Reparations, what would that look like in your household, or would it throw everything for a loop? I know your wife at one time was like all at home. I don't know if she's in between home and office now, but would that disrupt a lot of your life, or is that something you could adjust to?
I mean, it's here. You know, we've adjusted. We 19 months into this pandemic. You feel me? Right. So it's like, and God bless you, Dr. Adolph. Good to have you on the show, man. But like, we here. You know, so like we found a way to make it work. Now, if it's the standard, that's the tough question. Standard would make people feel like it's widely accepted. You feel me? But to deny that we in it, no, we in it. Like forget remote learning. Like remote work is the new thing. You feel me? You can look out at jobs, and that's pretty much the top thing. Back in the day, it used to be like, hey, we pay this much. Pay is like third now. It's like first thing you see is this your job title and you remote. You know what I'm saying? So it's the way of doing it. I think the part, and even what you were saying with the classes, the hard part is the pandemic forced us to be remote when houses weren't set up for that. All right. So every house is built 2020 plus. The new thing for me is going to be that extra little bonus room. You know what I mean? Smart homes. I want to see the smart home. Is it wired for me to be at home? Like you're going to see a change in architecture, like the design itself. Like, you know, it's like when you have an elderly parent and you're looking for a new house, you want to see if there's a room with the bathroom near it on the first floor, because we're looking for something different. I'm not some little newlywed first home time owner, 25 years old. You know, I'm looking for something different. So the way that the building is going to be constructed is going to be a little bit, even churches. Why do I need a church that can sit 5,000 at this point? You know what I mean? Do I need that much space just so I can spread out and social distance? You get a 5,000 seat and only can fit 1,000 people in there. You feel me? That's a big deal. So we're going to change the way we look at just the way the society structured. But as far as like us in it, we're in it, and people are just finding different ways to make it work. We in kitchen tables. You know, we taking out nightstands in the bedrooms and setting up a workstation there. So we're just not formed that way right now. But like as far as the learning, like man, we in it. Like every remote is gonna be the way.
So Dr. JL, would that be a big adjustment for you as well? If remote, if your kids are bigger, they can hang out.
Right. My kids are fine. They was like any excuse to be on their phone. Now, you know, it's kind of funny. We finally found a way for them to not use the cell phone. We're like, I don't want to use this for class. But you know, to answer your question, will remote learning become the standard? I'm going to say, you know, no. And the reason why is because, at least I would say in the United States, we are fixated on conflict rather than critical thinking. I mean, we live in a nation that thrives off of conflict, drama, and so when you politicize a public event, I mean, a public health crisis for the sake of politics, trying to satisfy the whims of of your political parties and that sort of thing, instead of really thinking critically. I don't see it becoming the standard, because we live in a nation that's so fixated on freedom, on things, but it's freedom oftentimes at the sake of it just depends on whose freedoms are being violated, and that's the thing that's problematic. I mean, none of us really. I have people that say, "Oh, I don't know what's in the vaccine. You don't know what's in the hot dog that you are consuming. You don't know what's in McDonald's you consume. You wear a seatbelt," and that sort of thing. But to answer your question, like I said, remote learning, we have made this it's a political thing, because we're more fixated, like, what will that mean for the economy if parents have to turn their homes into the school ground? What does that mean for us from that standpoint? But we're actually sacrificing the future for the present, because if we have children and continue to be more and more infected, we have a bigger problem. So yeah.
Has anybody heard of any tax credits for remote learning at school type something?
That's interesting.
No, not at this point. They don't. And that's the biggest problem too. It's like, if we have to turn our homes into it, then like, as a nation, I want to say we have been fixated on an agricultural system for education for centuries. So now, we haven't revamped education since the beginning.
Right.
So now you're talking about revamping it. We don't like change.
Yeah, for sure. Change is hard.
When you say an agricultural system, can you provide some clarity there?
Yeah. What I mean is, our education system was kind of set up in the old system of when the U.S. was once a nation of agriculture. And so, like, we have like summers off in or Labor Day and that sort of thing. We haven't revamped that system ever.
I thought about that.
So what you have is this, and in other countries have school like all year round, and that sort of thing. We're the only nation that's still stuck with, it's basically, like your uncle still listening to the 8-track. You're like, oh, but they're screaming now. They're screaming, bro. And then it's like, no, but I like this 8-track. Nothing like that crackling sound. That's what it is, and we haven't revamped it. So when you talk about will remote learning become the standard, I say no, because we're fixated on conflict over critical thinking.
And I guess, is it fair to put that a different way, not another way, not different, maybe just another way, and say that we are socially made up. Our makeup is social. We gather together. We are village people.
Right.
I mean, even the scripture says, "Forsaking not the assembly of yourself, as the manner of some is." The scripture talks about the importance of coming together in fellowship, right? Everything about us as a country is team. It's debate, to your point, conflict, one side versus the other. So we're not made to isolate.
Right.
That's not how we're designed, and it was never how we were designed, even spiritually. We were not. God brought man and woman together and said, "Be fruitful and multiply." We need more of you. And so for me, I feel like that need is why we have such conflict, right? But it has been politicized to the extent that to your point, we are sacrificing our future for the present. I completely agree with you there. I'm having issues like I think everybody has issues on a personal level. I don't believe that remote learning is our future. I agree with you there. I do not believe that, not even by a long shot, because half of the funding for academia is based on coming together.
Right.
Right. They'll lose too much money.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a problem. Sporting events, school connected sporting and cheerleading and all the extracurricular stuff is based on the ability to come together. So you're absolutely right. There's too much money involved for us to keep remote learning as the standard.
Being pragmatic about it though, like for a second, currently it's in, right? Like right now, my children are in person. At any moment, it could be switched to remote learning, right?
Right.
It's become a practical way of getting some stuff done. It's almost like online school, right?
Right.
That wasn't even a thing at a point. But
Right.
now all of a sudden, I can go to Harvard while I live in Atlanta.
Right.
You know, shout out to Harvard. Let me know. So we can make that happen from a distance. What's that,
Yes.
Cambridge or something like that? So it's up there, but it ain't nowhere near here. But now I can go because of that. So will online school ever go away? No. You know what I mean? So it's a part now. So we found a way. It just like to y'all point, I believe, online school came along and got adjusted to how we learn, and it was never controversial. Like if the mask never got politicized, everybody would just wear one.
Right.
It'd be a Republican mask, a Democrat mask. But as soon as the issues get politicized, it becomes a thing. So I see your I see what you're saying about the conflict. But if it was just as smooth as an add-on as like online school was, I don't think it'd be a problem. I think remote learning is going to be a part of how we get down. Maybe not all year, but some kind of way. It was just too doable.
Well, I think it's a great supplement, right? Online learning was supplemental in its original design.
Yes.
It expanded the classroom. Is what it did.
And that's what I'm saying. I think it's a practical piece to this.
Yeah,
that might not make it go away, but yes, we need to come together. But yeah, I think it's here to stay in some form.
Right.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I guess my point is I don't believe it'll be the standard moving forward.
I kind of been, thinking about this for a while, and I mean, I believe in some form it can be. I've even thought about the standard, and I even thought about like what happens to those that have younger children or children that they're not at the age where they can be left alone legally, left alone, in the home. I even thought about people that would set up buildings, and I know it's crazy. Like if we got rid of the school, they still would have like a building, but it's socially distanced, blocked off, but they're in their cubbies. It's kind of like, everybody got a workstation,
cubicles.
Right. So it's right. It said online isn't new. It's new to this generation. Right. But it would be, like these private learning centers, like they just kind of pay like a babysitter fee kind of thing just to make sure they got
but what's different
and everything.
And what you talking about sounds like an advanced daycare.
Right.
Exactly
like, what it would be.
I'll take care of the babies over here, and let your older kids go there because they can't report to the school, but I let them learn safely here.
Right. And I think something like that could shift it where those things are changing. And with our children, if our children, I think about the 2-year-olds that growing up learning how to socially distance, they're going to get used to the mask. They probably like, oh, my face feel naked. They're going to get so used to wearing the mask. It becomes almost a norm or like a seasonal thing. Like, oh man, it's getting cold. We need to put the mask on because we don't want to spread these germs.
I told y'all, you listen, back in the 80s and 90s, everybody would sleep on Michael Jackson. He was wearing a mask back then.
He knew. He already knew. He said, y'all got something that's out there. So I really feel like a lot of this, I truly believe, I don't know, I'm gonna throw a number like the next 20 years. The schools are gonna like with so much with these so many variants of this virus, from the alpha to the beta to the meta to the omega.
Mhm.
You know, so
Yeah.
Man, they got Q variants now.
Yeah. Mango flavor.
Right.
They got all
Start
that.
barking.
But like you said, AD 20 years, if you're a developer and you're about to open up the AD Walker High School for the lost children,
Right.
You really considering pouring a whole bunch of money
Right.
into building this big old school right now,
Right.
One of the scariest movies that I have ever seen in the last 20 years, starring Bruce Willis, had nothing to do with a monster. The movie was called Surrogates.
Right.
Yeah, heard of that movie? I remember that. Yeah. That's pretty freaky. Yeah.
And the movie was based on this virtual reality where people didn't even engage with each other physically. You were at home with something on your head and a mask. It looked like, playing a virtual reality game, but you were lying back on a bed and you sent a surrogate out to interact socially on your behalf. Go to work, go to clubs, hang out, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And the real person was in. And what I'm saying is, when you think about life from that perspective, that's not the kind of world I'm looking forward to.
No.
That's the reason why I say it can't be the case, because we are socially made up, that we are a people who come together. That's where we thrive. Right.
Not too long
ago. And what I'm challenged with in our world today, like the Matrix,
right.
But Surrogates was deep. I mean, it was deep. It was a horrible movie, but
I think I've seen it.
The thought process. Yeah.
Wow. And so that's the challenge that I have with social media today.
Right.
Yeah.
People put this facade. You have your social media face.
Yeah.
Your reality TV face.
Right.
It's funny. Kim Kardashian,
Terminator movie,
was doing. She posted something recently, and they were making fun of her because her daughter, while she had the camera running, she was promoting some makeup or whatever, and her daughter in the background asks her. She said, "Mommy, why do you talk different when you're talking about the makeup?" Right? She was basically saying, "Why are you being phony?"
Right.
And that's what happens with social media. And if that continues to evolve, the movie Surrogate would be art imitating life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just don't believe. I think it's dangerous to pull everybody home.
So, Urban Country Dude said something. She said, "Isn't this more of evolving or revolution than not evolution, evolving?" He said, "School at home like the past." Would you agree to that? Like the
well, I think there's a difference between homeschooling and remote learning.
Well, yes. Oh, yeah. That is true.
But this remote learning has given me confidence for homeschooling.
Right.
I didn't think it was possible before. I mean, I now have a taste of what homeschool would be like. Like you set up an area, you put them on. You know what I mean? Like I thought, like back in the day, I thought it was all on us. I didn't know they had like virtual homeschooling type of situations going on that you can get, accredited and everything.
Right.
So like AD saying, what if I go to the school and all the kids look bigger than my kids and scary and I just want to bring them home, right? Like I think it's possible now.
Right.
Whereas literally 2019, I was like, nah, that ain't for me.
Right.
Well, it's funny. We bought a dog during quarantine season.
Yeah.
And our dog went through his first. We got him as a puppy. He went through his first 8 or 9 months not interacting with any other dogs. Right. He's now a chicken because he has no social development with other animals.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's a big dog, but let a Chihuahua come up. Let a Pomeranian walk up on him, and he's going to run away like Freddy Krueger is chasing him, because he never got the social makeup. And so take that and just move that over into our children.
Right.
What happens to a child that grows up in a home environment, isolated from everybody, but never gets that social makeup, and then they have to go out here into this world and make something happen.
But you have to give the fact that it's not total isolation. It's not traditional isolation.
I get it,
and it's some form, and I do agree with you. But I'm saying it's not total isolation. They can talk.
I think it's controlled, like in controlled
China.
isolation.
Yeah, I mean they're not
until you tell me that this interaction right here on screen is equivalent to us being in the same room.
No
Oh,
no doubt. But it's not as like. But this is interaction though.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not how I would prefer it, not what I'm looking for, not what I think is totally healthy. But I'm just trying to say it's not total isolation.
Right.
I mean, the way I look at it is like this. History has already shown us if we do not take this pandemic seriously, what can happen. For instance, like if we go back to the Middle Ages and that sort of thing, those people were not taking the bubonic plague and the Black Plague and all of those things in serious. And you know how they were able to overcome that? Tons of people died, and then actually the spacing allowed for new systems of government and that sort of thing. My thing is this: if we do not learn from history, if we do not evolve and start accepting this new normal, then it's going to. My thing is this: the Earth is going to continue to win. We think we can defeat it. We're not. We have to make some of these changes. And then I want to go back to that whole idea of being fake on social media. I think we were fake a long time ago, even before social media. And I'm gonna tell you, my grandma would say, "Boy, get in this house and do this." But when her boss called on the phone, "Oh, hey, how are you?" so we've been cold switching for quite some time. So my thing is this: if we don't evolve, if we don't make changes to a system that has been in place since, like I said, the agricultural time period, then we're going to be doomed to fail. And what's so bad about it, we do have a country that we can look to that actually has an ideal model on how they do there, and that would be New Zealand. This country shut everything down for one COVID person, one. And that's what they do. They focus, and their numbers, they have total control. Our nation's like the way it's assembled now. Everything is so politicized that we're losing, that we don't really, this is a public health crisis. We can't do things the same. We're going to have to deal with health and be serious about that, health and then mental health.
What, Doctor?
Uh-huh.
I know you didn't just ask America to use New Zealand as an example.
I don't have to get
you in here.
I'm saying, like, to shut down New Zealand is a whole lot less cumbersome than shutting down America. Right. I understand, but I understand the point. I completely understand the point, because that's one extreme. We are the opposite extreme. We're about the worst example on the planet when it comes to our response to this epidemic. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
So if we could at least take some lessons, just stop fighting about it and recognize it's real. And my thing is, politicians should just be quiet. Right? Anybody out here that is not practicing social distancing, that is not wearing a mask, should have consequences, right? It should be a hate crime. That's how I feel. When you look at, because the numbers do not lie. People are getting sick, people are dying, and I'm like, to me, there's no such thing as a breakthrough COVID case, because the vaccine does not make you exempt from COVID.
Right.
So why call it a breakthrough? Right.
That's true.
So, and I'm not trying to make anybody get the shot, but my thing is, because I didn't believe in the shot. I just didn't want to take it.
Me too. I didn't take it for a long time.
I didn't want to take it. I have since taken it. I've taken my first injection because I have to be an example to my family. That's the reality. Because I have a child out there as a freshman at a university, because I have a child getting ready to graduate high school, things are just different now. And what I realize is, when it comes to, remote learning and all that, the reason why we're having this conversation is because people won't remain obedient. It's the disobedient folks that are causing us to have to bring everybody back home after we sent everybody back out, but again, it's all about the narrative. The narrative was go get the shot and you'll be okay.
Right.
It was never go get the shot to mitigate the impact.
Right.
It was go get the shot and you can take your mask off.
Right. Right.
Wow.
I think that was the big, to me, that was like the big issue. And then it seemed like the media was kind of going against each other. Everybody was saying something a little different about the shot. And you just like, wait, okay, this big media organization said this one said this. So like, what's, and then you just look for the consistent information. Like, okay, this part seems true. Okay, this part seems true. Like the rest of that, like you knew the shot was like, and the number one thing I hear or I've heard and hear is, when you get the shot, you get COVID, it's not as bad. Like you don't, the effect isn't bad, the chance of living increases and things of that nature. But never like nobody's gonna get it, like, but you still need to be protected. You can still spread it, because now it's like they're trying to divide between the unvaccinated and vaccinated. It's like, dude, the folks that are getting vaccinated, just trying to mitigate inside of them and slow it down, but it doesn't stop it. Like there's the line is not huge. It does make a difference, especially those at high risk. But it's just the facts that consistent information and like I don't. Me and Dr. J talked before it started talking about the YouTubers and the people that have read the 3 books, and the experts, the new experts, and it's funny about the information that's out there and how that the fringes has spread into the politics of it. That's the crazy part. And it's mitigating that information where we can at least be all on somewhat of the same page. Like I'm tripping too. Like I don't even know how this whole thing got politicized. Like, yo, how did wearing a mask get so political? Like, that's the health of all of us. Like
that is easy. That's easy to answer.
Break that down, Cole. Break it down. And welcome to the show, Cole Johnson.
Thank you, AD. How you doing, E? How you doing, Pastor? How you doing, Doctor?
Hey, what's going on?
You're dealing with a country that does not like to have its.
Right and we're gonna
and that's a prime
word.
example.
One word.
You're dealing with a country. You're dealing with a country that does not want to have things dictated to them. I mean, you have these flags that has the I think you've seen it, yellow background with black writing. Don't tread on me with a snake coiled underneath it. You have so many people who have that, or Confederate flags flying, or the United States flag, but it's draped in black, white, and blue.
Right.
You have those entities, those people who simply say, you're not going to dictate to me how to live, what to do, what to say. I mean, there is a U.S. Constitution. I'm free to do whatever it is because that's what this says.
Right.
They don't care about saving any one of our lives at all.
No.
They don't care about that. All they care about is simply living their life without any consequences, without any provisions, without any checkpoints. They want to live free. Otherwise, and I know you've heard this, they feel like we are living in a communist state.
Right. Not the communist Marxists.
Yeah. So yeah, you have people who don't want to be dictated to. Right. So seeing a pandemic. No. And I've said this before in this program. I'll say it again. And I'll give this disclaimer before I continue. This is only Cole's opinion. This is not the opinion shared by the Brothers of Legacy. What I'm about to say is the opinion of Cole Johnson. Americans are stupid when it comes to history.
Yeah.
Because we went through the same thing, but it was the Spanish flu only 1 century before.
Right.
They don't want to learn. They want to experience it for themselves. So you have those two entities just in play. They don't want to learn from what they see in history. They want to basically be ignorance is bliss type of situation and scenario in life. And they don't want to be dictated to.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Let me ask you about the money. So we know the social aspect, and I agree with Pastor. It'll mess them up, right, to say the least. So who loses money if remote learning becomes the standard?
All right,
how much money are we talking?
Before we answer that,
Good question,
I want Dr. JL to try to jump on that. We'll be right back after this. Hang tight, guys. Welcome back, everybody. We are in the mix. We're talking about will remote learning become the standard. We are joined by our brothers. To my left, right, Ephraim Terrell, Mr. Reparations. To his left, right, Dr. J.L. Adolph, the new
Another one of those.
He said one of those.
It's one of those.
Another one of those.
Another one of those with a huge, heavy sigh.
And my brother Cole Johnson, and of course Pastor Brian A. McCrory Sr. in the building. So we appreciate you guys. So Ephraim asked the question before we went to break. He said, Kevin said, "I'm a black man. I don't fly any of those flags. I don't want to be dictated to. Leave me and mine alone."
And that's another aspect. The red, black,
and nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
But it has to come a point where you have to think about other people besides yourself, and then that's the issue. No,
my thing is
we have.
We'll leave you alone, but you leave us alone too.
No, I get that.
Home.
No, I get that. But those people who want to not be dictated to, they want to leave home. Right. So they have to think of them. They have to think of other people besides themselves. And if they don't want to do that, then I agree with you, Pastor.
Yeah,
stay your butt at home.
All right. Yeah. Let me get into the.
I'm sorry. Your question, E.
You good? I threw it out there. Ephraim spoke about the economic result of shifting from at school, in person to the home standard. And I want to toss to Dr. JL first, and then we can all jump in on it. What do you think that would look like? Because he's in the educational field, he's probably seen he would know some of the ramifications that happen. It would affect him as well. What's your opinion, or what do you say about that?
Okay, well, first I want to let all your universe and your fans out there know I'm a professor of English and that sort of thing at Georgia State University Perimeter College. So, however, I have taught high school, I have taught community college, HBCUs, 15 years of experience. And this is what I think. First of all, it's a very good question from who would be impacted from an economic standpoint. For one, you're looking at, when we talk about schools, we're talking about the food industry in terms of, the amount of the people who supply our kids with the lunches, as well as corporations like Coca-Cola and that sort of thing that run the vending machines and that sort of thing. So what we're talking about is a major cut in the income because we realize that schools also it's the breeding ground for our new consumers. So then when you talk about clothing.
Yeah.
When we talk about clothing, and in Georgia area, what about the people who make uniforms? What about the kids who want to look fresh and fly for this? You don't need to look fresh and fly to stay at home. So you talking about clothing. I would say the tech industry. The tech industry will have some, like some people would say, oh, in the pandemic, you need to have Wi-Fi and that sort of thing. Right. But it's easier to buy a home for an entire household than to supply an entire school with computers and that sort of thing. So you have the tech industry and also the major companies that distribute like things for testing. You're talking about Scantron. You're talking about all of these different types of companies that will lose major money. And these people pay for the superintendent and that sort of thing, so that's the major loss from a school standpoint. But then when you're talking about corporations and companies outside of that, you're talking about corporations that now will have to up money, especially if you want employees. Now you're talking about companies to be competitive. They may have to offer some form of child care. They may have to increase minimum wage. And so now we're talking, and now every home has to be Wi-Fi and that sort of thing. So you're talking about need to increase the minimum wage. So it is economic pressure to get these kids back to the quote unquote normal. But the problem is the biggest issue is when we talk about vaccination, kids 12 and under are not eligible for the vaccination.
Right.
Who wants to? We already had a teaching crisis to begin with. No one majors in education. I teach. It used to be when I first started 15 years ago, I would have a fourth of the room. Oh, I'm a future educator. Now I have 2 or 3 people that want to be educators.
Can't make that money.
You can't make money. That's one. Then number 2, you have now it's like teachers have another added responsibility. Not only do parents want us to be the parent without the consequences, not only do they want us to police the classroom, now they want us to be healthcare consultants as well. So no one wants to go to a place where you keep getting more responsibility at the same pay.
Don't forget Trump wanted to give y'all a gun too.
Exactly. So
one should be police officers as well.
So when we talk about it, I mean, it's a major blow. Like I said, the food industry, clothing industry, education, manufacturing, technology, major corporations, and then we'll have to deal with the age old, like this 725 is not going to be enough to take care of a family with these things. So we're talking about that. But to answer your question, that's how it will affect. That's how the impact it will have if schools just move to solely remote learning.
So I figured while you're in class, this classroom is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Between study, make sure
you led exactly to what I was thinking about, especially with the standardized testing. You segued into exactly why I think they won't be losing as much money as we think, because we'll have them get on board with big time corporate sponsors.
They'll just change the sponsors
to actually have these tests
in the background.
Right. And as you're answering this question, don't you like to have this 1 ounce, one liter bottle of 1 liter of Coke? Drink it right now. Yeah, because we already have the function to have time tests online. Right. So it's a tweaking of that. Yeah. But I totally agree with you, Doc. I could not put it in better terms than how you said it. That the children are a breeding ground for the future consumers. Yeah. That I believe is really the biggest thing and the biggest effect when it comes to money, right there. Right. Because the fashion, when it comes to other consumer goods, when it comes to music, even. Yes. All that will be affected and adversely affected. I totally agree.
Instead of
good.
public schools, way actually sponsored and
very good
upgraded by Google. Right. That's interesting. Wow.
Oh, it all come down to the money. Man.
Of course it does. Thank you, Houdini and Terminator X. Yes.
The social development piece is I think, like Pastor was talking about earlier, that's the bigger miss. That's the more impactful miss. Because I wasn't getting none of that Coca-Cola money anyways. But if these kids are stuck at home and they getting, they bored and now they become more violent, then you send them out of my neighborhood. Yeah, that I feel that a little bit more. Them Coca-Cola boys, they bonus gonna be a little less. Maybe they don't fly the private jet as much this year, save a little gas. But like, I didn't think about like the testing and like all them number 2 pencils and the scan sheets and stuff. Like, I mean, somebody's getting they getting paid off all of that.
And then the food.
I mean, that's the point. There's too much money in academia to think that remote learning would become the standard. That's exactly it.
Right. Here's the problem with that, though. Here's the problem.
Can you imagine if there was actually a cure for cancer?
Right. But here's
released.
Right. Yeah. But here's the problem with that. Here's the problem with that, though. I do agree with you, though. But here's the problem with that. What happens if we have another? Because you have to say COVID-19 now is now an epidemic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What if we have this another pandemic along with an epidemic that comes along?
Endemic. It's an endemic.
I'm sorry, endemic. Thank you, Pastor. Yeah, we have to consider COVID-19 to be an endemic. Mm-hmm. Now, what if we have another pandemic to accompany this endemic? Then it almost has to be a matter of safety. And that is where the issue comes to the plate. But I do agree, though, there's too much money for the educational system to lose in order for that to actually come down the line. But if the government has proven that they do not have what it takes to protect the citizens when you have this happen and something else comes along, you're going to have more issues.
Yeah. And a shutdown is way more costly than some type of reduced in-person.
And to the antithesis of what we did with New Zealand, I'm like, no, that will never happen here.
No, it's not. It's totally not.
I was surprised it happened to the extent it did last March. I'm like, that has never happened.
So let me ask this: if anybody knows or can answer, in our history, right? We've gone through different changes from the railroads to the Industrial Revolution, to now the technical revolution. We know in the tech space, a lot of jobs were lost. Because the automation of things, the loss of certain needs for certain businesses. From back in the day, from someone that used to sew buttons on. But I guess that's big money. Big money didn't lose. Just the little guy lost on those things. Can you think at any time in history where a lot of industry lost out to because of a shift, because of a change, other than, of course, this pandemic, which is not an endemic? Has there been like a huge loss to industry that you can think of? Because I hear you guys and it makes sense. Because what, Dr. L, when you started breaking it down, I was like, I forgot about the clothes. Because you're right. You get back to school clothes. Like, we didn't really shop like that. Get a nice shirt. As long as they can see your shirt, they're good. The bottom don't even matter.
Easter Sunday.
A lot of those industries, like the money just shifts. Even when you said it, I thought about with the VHS. You know what I'm saying? All us old enough to remember that. So the big studios start to lose money, but like that's still the same industry. It just shifted towards this way and opened up tech ways, right? And the studios caught on, and then they start selling. So it's a shift,
Tidal.
What's Tidal? Yeah, the streaming thing, CDs, Napster, all that kind of came and hit, but it still just shifted the money from the big establishments to the lower guys who end up becoming the new big establishment. Right. But I can't think of anybody who really got totally wiped out. maybe cars, switching out of that horse and buggy type
The horse and buggy
situation.
company. You're right.
Refrigerators came. You don't need the ice block man no more. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it knocked out the little guys, but the money. I can't think of an industry that got wiped out. It all pretty much stayed. I don't know if people still buying bow and arrows like that, but for the most part.
I would say that the deindustrialization probably was that you have mentioned in the 80s and that sort of thing. I mean, because really that's what led to that economic crisis and and that sort of thing. When you have major corporations that's being outsourced, it left. Like if you go to like a Detroit, you go to my hometown, St. Louis, you go to these different places that were built on these manufacturing hubs.
Yeah.
Then what happens is when the manufacturing left, you found a it was a switch in the industry, but it was called mass incarceration. So because what happened was when those jobs left, then we transformed those jobs into from school to prison pipelines.
Right.
Yeah.
So so you have that took place.
Yeah. Kids got to eat still, so I got to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have that. I would say, the biggest thing that I really see happening though is what you're going to find is that technological divide, and really like I would say for parents and that sort of thing out there. You probably need to try to get ahead of this as best you can in terms of getting technology like laptops, computers, and that sort of thing, because things have the way the American market has worked. Whenever it's a major crisis, somebody's going to profit. So you better get these computers while they're cheap enough.
Jeff Bezos, we're looking at you, sir.
Because the price is going up.
Big time.
Price
is going up. Yeah.
So
I'm not mad like to your point, the digital divide as a title that has been a challenge from the early 90s, right? And it has still been a challenge because you have so many young people that have a mobile phone but don't have a tablet or a laptop. Right. Yeah. And the only access they really have to one is when they enroll in school and they give them a Chromebook.
Right.
Yeah. So that's major. That's huge. What you just stated is larger than most people would think.
Yeah. So when you ask this question, AD, you're talking about historically?
Yes.
I could give you one industry that has fundamentally changed to where it's almost extinct.
Okay.
Dr. Adolph was basically touching on it. Farming.
Okay. Right.
Before the turn of last century, a lot of people got their foods from farms. If they didn't grow it themselves, they actually went out and got them. In Texas, they still to this day call their state roads, not state roads, but farm to markets, or FM for short.
Wow.
So the turn of the 20th century, people relied on farms. The turn of this century, not so much.
Right.
And we see the difference in the foods we buy at grocery stores.
Right.
How many times have we said, wow, this used to cost this much, now it costs this much?
Right.
Why is that the case?
Right.
And it's because we don't go directly to farms anymore. We go to the third party. Almost all of us do. If we don't grow it ourselves, we have to go to a third party to get our food. Just almost like anything else. But the way it has changed, it fundamentally changed society in general. It goes right into what Dr. Adolph said. When you had these cities just become economic centers, New York, Detroit, Chicago, when you have millions of people just congregate in one area, but you have a vast amount of space that used to be occupied by farmers, but no longer they are. It had a fundamental change that exists, like to the point where now daylight savings time and standard time, that was for farmers. We still undergo that now.
Right. Right.
But what effect do we really have in having time being moved to save on daylight? Because most of us don't deal in agriculture.
Yeah. Man, I don't know about you, man, but I be loving that extra hour.
No.
Get that extra hour on that Sunday. Oh,
do not take my extra hour.
They're trying to get rid of it, though. They are trying to get rid of it.
From a selfish standpoint, I relish the first Sunday in November. I love it. And I dislike the second Sunday in March. I personally understand that. But just fundamentally, we don't really have a use for that anymore.
Right.
Because that's actually for agriculture. We're not dealing with an agriculture
society.
We're dealing with
the brothers of legacy. These are the views of Cole Johnson.
And this is also the way of the world, along with the views of Cole Johnson. We're not dealing with an agricultural society. We're dealing with a technological one.
Here are some jobs that are no longer available.
Okay.
Switchboard operator.
Yeah.
Leech collector. Back in the 19th century, I guess that was medical.
Okay.
VCR repairman. Ice cutter. Video store employee. Lamp lighter. Apparently somebody used to come and knock on your door before we had alarms. A milkman.
Okay.
I don't know how a rat catcher is not still. No, you still need a rat catcher.
Not as many though. I catch it myself.
Unless you're in New York, you still need them.
Don't do that.
Don't forget about Chicago.
Right.
A log driver, a typesetter. What's that?
Typesetter.
Typesetting.
Oh, I
Probably
guess they change out the keys.
Yeah, I think those are the
yeah. I think that's
press it down back in the day, like
But typewriters, my grandma would say, "Yeah, this is what we used to type on."
Right. but Ephraim, I mean, I get your point. What you're saying as far, but to Dr. JL's point, like, because in my mind, what he mentioned, I didn't even really think about the industry part. I just more thought about like teachers, administration, janitor, and maybe lunch lady. But you're right.
They're in the trenches.
The clothing industry, like the industries are set on school time, time to buy this, time to get this, time to do this, time to do this, time to do this, And if that's going, you're right. It's like I'm still drink my Coca-Cola while I'm sitting in my shorts with my my t-shirt on or something. My nice t-shirt is clean.
That money is more behind the scenes money, if I can call it that, right? Like it was more evident when sports shut down. Because I see you paying for that hot dog. I see you paying for that ticket. I see you buying that beer in the fourth quarter. I see you, you know what I'm saying? We see that upfront money. But like the points you raised, that was great, man. That's behind the scenes, man. I know everybody I'm looking at gets a paycheck, but you don't see much changing of money in schools. You know what I mean?
Coca-Cola machines, the concession, and things of that nature. Like it affects everything. So I was saying, like, I get that there are lost jobs, like you're saying, like the typesetter, certain things we don't need anymore. Yeah, because either
like
we don't
vinyl presses of record
right
in the records.
Right.
Yeah.
So
people who set up the bowling pins before we had the thing.
They probably went into each lane. They were probably they were the one behind it.
Right.
Yeah. I'll never forget. I preached a message, probably 10, 12 years ago.
What's up, Sam?
And dealing with the what are perceived as the little people and how important the little people are. Your perception of the little people, really, my perception is they're the most important people.
Right.
Yes, sir.
When you're watching a sporting event, when you're watching a football game and you go to commercial break, you don't see the scampering of all the people making sure those football players get hydrated, wrapping their ankles and all that kind of stuff. You miss all of that stuff. Yeah. When they go into the tent to get evaluated when they've been hurt, right? The football players make the big bucks, the coaches make the big bucks, but all these other people, if there's no game, what are they doing? They don't have the $100 million contract.
Yeah. Right. Don't forget the t-shirt man outside selling them illegal unlicensed jerseys.
Yeah. You said the unlicensed jerseys.
Unlicensed jerseys.
And your nephew with the bottled waters.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's how they might mess around and eat, because if he can make $150.
Well,
He can feed his brothers and
E,
sisters.
you have a hoodie on right now, right? The manufacturer of your hoodie is not necessarily the manufacturer of the drawstring that's in the hoodie.
Right.
Which is also not necessarily the manufacturer of the plastic coating that covers the tip of the drawstring on your hoodie.
Right.
That's what Dr. Adolph is alluding to when he talks about the other intricate parts that make up the whole that we overlook. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Are there any industries that need to be on the lookout of disappearing possibly in the next 10 years? Who's next?
I would say education.
And that's unfortunate.
I want to say this: in the next 20 years, and this already was talks before the pandemic.
Right.
We will see a mass influx of outsourced teaching. Because as I stated earlier, especially if remote learning becomes the standard, then what we will do is because this industry in America, like I said, is more and more responsibilities being placed, and the pay still remains the same. We live in a society that's anti-intellectual. I mean, like I was stating before the show began, is like the average American reads on an 8th grade level. That's really what. So you invest in what you value. So if we don't value education, we don't invest in it. So then what we will find is a lot of our jobs in terms of education and that sort of thing will be outsourced to major corporations, maybe to people abroad where they value education.
But I think, you know what the reality is, that's happening already, Dr. Adolph.
Yes,
it's been happening.
It is.
You know, when I'm in the world of
you'll
IT.
be surprised, Sam. You will be surprised.
When I go to get certification, I don't go to the manufacturer for my certification. I go to an outsourcer where all they do is teach the class. Right. My daughter called me the other day from Georgia State, and she was like, I'm struggling because I can't really. My math professor is a foreigner. And the accent is so strong.
No disrespect.
And she's like, I'm like, we're in the class and we're struggling to understand what he's saying to us, and it's going to impact us. And the answer is go to YouTube.
Man.
Pastor, if I told you I was going to fix your car, but you were aware that I learned it from YouTube, would you let me fix your car?
Nope.
Listen,
is YouTube not legit?
Here's the thing. I'm the wrong person to ask. You want to know why?
Why?
Because when I bought my Harley Davidson, I took it to Harley to get it fixed every time, and it was no less than $500-600 every time I took it.
That's cool.
And then I looked at YouTube. I stopped taking my Harley to Harley Davidson years ago because I do all the work myself, because I can put my phone up on my table in my garage, watch the video, get the right parts, and fix my motorcycle.
Hold on, check this out.
What a baby.
So Pastor learns how to do it on YouTube, right? And he just pays for the part, which is probably like $50, $60, $100 or something like that. Then I ride up on my Harley to like, oh, Pastor, you know how to fix that? So instead of giving Harley $500,
give it to the pastor.
I give Pastor $200.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Right.
I won't take your money because I'm not putting my hands on nobody else's Harley.
About to say.
This is example.
He ain't doing that with anybody else. I figued that.
This is an example.
There's something about the grounds that may incriminate me. I don't want that liability. But I'll point you to the link on YouTube.
I'm gonna share the link with you. This is the best one.
When I was coming up, it was like go to school, go to college. That is the route, formal education. And YouTube is informal, but I'm saying like there's college professors on YouTube hosting lectures, hosting classes, have a whole series. How do I not take that?
Yours truly.
I technically I could go to the books that I'm going to get in college. Technically, I can teach myself, right? So you don't always need college, but I'm saying it's pushed that way. All right. And then you go, so a lot of us don't even finish. I don't know what the rates are on that, then we get all this debt, and I just don't know if my kid says, I want to do this particular thing, and here it is on YouTube. Yeah. Do I take this, make this money, get because it is education. You told me you want me to be educated, so I'm going to get educated. Do I take this, or do I sign up for like 100,000 worth of debt?
Right.
So it's a question.
What's your skin color, E?
I'm black a little bit, maybe a little more chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. Same as mine.
Yeah.
Now if any one of our children would say that to our elders, they'd say that don't count as education. I want to see the sheepskin on your wall.
Big dog. Yeah, for real. Mm-hmm. Education was really pushed.
Yeah, but I do agree with you though. You can get education on YouTube, but yeah, you got to be selective as to what you do watch there. Yeah. I to Dr. Adolph's point. Now I am in media, and when I got my first media job, they said that people read on an 8th grade level. We're supposed to write on a 6th grade level for that very reason.
Yes.
And I've had to edit a lot of reporter stuff, right? Mm-hmm. There was a reporter that wrote like a college professor. Now I understood it, but I knew the average Joe or Jane wouldn't. Yes. And I would repeatedly tell him, I was like, you got to dumb down your language. And I hate to say it that way, but I had to tell him that. You have to dumb down your language because you're going to be writing above most of the people that you're trying to serve.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't write this eloquent because people will not understand it. And it's unfortunate because what you're writing is great and I get it and you're eloquent in your point, but no. You have to write simpler.
I mean,
Pastor, do you ever preach with that in mind?
What's that?
That your audience has a lid. I don't want to be offensive.
Like
well, I understand the concept of knowing your audience.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But my goal is always to lift the lid, to elevate the mindset or the thought. For me, it's always, have you considered? Right. That's my state of mind. Have you considered? And that opens people up to receive new information, even if they had not received it before. So even though I recognize you can lose people by speaking over their heads.
Yeah.
We know we smart.
But you can also lose people. You can also lose people by not enhancing their level of knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
You know what? It's so funny because I was talking to a colleague of mine. I was like, my teaching style is, in a sense, I call it the Jesus method of teaching. Here's what I mean by that.
Nice.
In the sense, I try to teach using stories and parables and that sort of thing that connect, reach the student where they are. Okay. And then if I want them, and then by reaching them where they are, then I can slowly introduce them and elevate that style. But if, like, to Brother Johnson's point, if you come in, like, in a sense, using, I guess I'm becoming extra biblical right now. If you come in like a Pharisee and try to teach today's kids, you're going to lose them. And it's a divide in the world of academia with this whole thing that's called like linguistic convergence and divergence. Where basically, if I speak the way that I speak, do I want to gather more people to me, or do I want to maintain that distance so that I maintain my title and position?
Right. Right.
That's the divide. That's
using language as a weapon.
and so it's linguistic convergence and divergence. I choose to use convergence. I choose to throw in the baby phrases when I'm breaking down, like maybe Langston Hughes, or I'm breaking down like subject, verb, object. I'm going to use some elements of hip hop culture and that sort of thing as well, because I'm trying to reach the kids the way that I can. And the same way that Jesus used agricultural terms to connect with the people of his time, teachers have to be able to adapt. And that is what the biggest issue that I see with remote learning. If you're unable to adapt to a technological sense, if you're unable to be engaging in this format, you're going to lose your audience. What I found, the teachers that weren't successful with remote learning, they are the ones that like, today class, we will focus on this. You're going to lose them every time. You gotta, you have to be, in a sense, my thing, I feel like I have to be a part pastor, part coach when I'm teaching. I have to do that. And you have to bring that semantic skill set to the online form. That's what's going to stop a lot of people from being kids from successfully learning, because you have this sort of Pharisee approach to teaching digitally. So you're going to have to adapt, and they're going to have to learn from you all, YouTubers, podcasts, and that has to be something that teachers are going to have to get real with.
That's good. That's good.
So you just brought homiletics into the classroom.
Pretty much.
I love it. I love that, because to your point, my mindset has always been teach to my level.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very simple-minded. Right? I'm like, it's gonna be good for you if I got it.
I can think of many things to describe you, Pastor. Simple-minded is not one of them.
Yeah.
I listen. My reputation is you make it so easy to understand. That's what I mean by simple-minded.
Yeah.
Right? It's very elementary. I try to simplify everything so that there's no confusion. That's what I'm saying. I've seen people, to Dr. Adolph's point, like, I don't like to put names out there, but this dude knows who he is. Bishop Noel Jones. Right? If you ever want to meet someone who wants to keep his linguistic approach here, and remind you that you are here, that's Noel Jones. He'll make you not like him.
I do.
So, and there are a lot of people, a lot of clergy that are like that. They're unreachable. They're unapproachable because of their presentation. You're more. I think you're more. It's a lot easier for you to go approach the deacon or the minister than to approach the pastor in certain churches. Because they want to keep that separation. They feel like that's the validation of their position, which I think is totally unfair. But it works.
That's going to impact us in schools. That's
it's like that in school too.
If teachers aren't able to adapt to this format, and you have to be engaging, like on this show, Brothers to Legacy, the thing that's really sticking out to me is in the between, you got those commercials and you see those colors they popping out. I've seen some people do online teaching and they still using black and white backgrounds. And I'm like, my God, come on. It's like being in the classroom with that guy, the class that do the slide things and like, and then you're like, come on, man. To me, man.
Oh my gosh, Doc.
That's just AD trying to keep himself separated from us.
That's all it is. Call it out.
Nancy, you speak in my language because I got to attend many different meetings in a week. And the people who lead them, almost all of them, they do not care about capturing your interest. They only care about dispensing the information. And because of it, you almost want to mentally check out. And it's like, oh my gosh. You have to, I have to borrow KRS-One here. You have to do it with an edutainment aspect to it. You have to educate, yes, but be entertaining while you do it. Doesn't mean you have to be a buffoon. But at least be captivating enough to where someone says, okay, I remember this guy and I remember what he said. He said this, or she said this, and that. Because this guy or this woman held my interest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many who don't. And that is hugely problematic. And what you said too, Dr. Adolph, I took from what you said is that there are some people who use language as a weapon.
Right.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that aspect because it almost made me think you were totally opposite of Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, who's going to prove that he has a PhD level speech in every single sentence that he utters.
On top of the speed that he talks with, like,
he speaks the ecumenical dispersion of the aqueduct that we do.
But he speaks as if he is in front of a dissertation board every single time.
Yes.
And it's like, dude.
Did you see how quickly my mom defended Noel Jones?
I see that. Noel Jones does give definitions.
You know, she had been a member of his church at one point.
Right.
Well, that's right, California. That makes sense.
Right? Wow. So real talk. He said, I listened to a lot of MLK and Malcolm, and I had to learn. And I had to learn. I need to expand my vocabulary. Yes, indeed.
Same here with me.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I would also, in defense of that, Brother Malcolm also was a person who understood the pimp language and also understood the thug.
Yes.
So he was able to, don't get me wrong, he definitely had that. What I would say, the thing that made Malcolm especially different was the fact that he could code switch street language into highbrow language, and he was just a maestro with that. Right. So when you look at him, it was he made you want to elevate your vocabulary, but he also captured the heart of the everyday modal black or everyday black experience in a sense that you felt like you could connect to him. In a sense, he kind of, I haven't seen that since that. The revolution of like Tupac, like the way he was able to steal. Tupac, highly intelligent, a Shakespearean thespian and that sort of thing. But yet at the same time, he was able to speak in the everyday language that could connect to the people. If you're unable to bridge the two, you're going to lose your audience. And like I said before, with remote teaching, the biggest thing is people, the professors, instructors, teachers have to realize that in this format, you're going to have to adapt as well. Everything from Instagram to Facebook has engaging content. Right. If you're on this medium, you're going to have to be engaging. And it's going to mean that the teacher is also going to have to be the student. Right. But again, going back to the passage, but what's going on is people been fed the same manna for so long. Like, hey, we've always done this way. That now when you say, hey, we're no longer going to drop manna out the sky. You're going to have to actually start doing the killing and that sort of thing. Oh, no. And if you don't evolve, you will die.
Yes.
Dr. Adolph. Is that. You don't evolve, you die.
Yes, sir.
That's it,
Can I tell you something, Dr. Adolph, what you just said? I stay in trouble.
That's why we got them at the bottom of the screen. Both.
As a preacher, as a pastor, man, I stay in trouble because I have the audacity to ask people for feedback.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Pastors aren't supposed to do that, right?
Yeah,
you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be the expert in the room. I know Jesus. Right. You got to get to know.
Right.
I'm like, look, if he caught me, you get in here too.
Right.
But the thing is, when you talk about Malcolm, you're talking about a brother who was passionate about his hustle when he was a thug.
Right.
Yes, he was. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was.
And he didn't. The only thing that shifted is where he directed his passion.
Right.
Because he was as passionate about his conversion as he was about the thug life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so he didn't change himself, he changed his perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the street, the hood dude, all of that was still there after the conversion.
Right.
But he just applied it to a new narrative.
Yeah.
That was it. And most people think they have to become somebody else. Right. And that's where they mess up.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
it was needed at the time too. Like we needed a good representation of a highly educated brother in the 60s. You know what I'm saying? When they thought we was fresh off a tree with a banana. So we needed somebody who looked
still
and
think we
that.
are.
You see what I'm saying? And same thing like with Obama when he came, we kind of needed. He was I couldn't have wrote it down. We needed that type of representation to be the first black president. I don't think the next will be like him, but I'm just saying that type, knowing how to carry yourself, a spirit of excellence, intelligent. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We kind of and charismatic. You know
charismatic, composed. Yeah.
He definitely had to be composed to be the first. So it's
and his wife had to make him stop smoking cigarettes.
Right.
I bet he got a pack of Newports and Virginia Slims right now though.
Hey, he not smoking cigarettes anymore.
Stop Marine One by Colorado right quick.
Yeah, that brother laid back now, man. Obama might have a beard very soon, man.
Yeah. Obama's like Lil Duval. I'm living my best life.
He got a beard. He got mad.
Ain't going back and forth with you.
He can't grow the beard. He said he don't connect. He struggled with the connect.
Oh, that's terrible, man. Oh, man. Send a prayer to the brothers who don't get the beard to connect, man. Look,
to the brothers.
I hate that because Paul Pierce, man. That's what he's still. I'm like, brother, let it go, man.
Let it go.
Throw Anthony Hamilton in there as well, man.
Anthony Hamilton. Oh, man.
He said one day. One day.
I just want him to smooth it out. It looked like 75, man. That's what it looked like. I'm just like, man, brother, smooth it out.
It's tough out there. That young kid out of Boston right now trying to make it happen. Oh my God. Jason Tatum. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Tatum?
From my hometown, St. Louis.
He's in a struggle.
Mike said, I'm educated for corporate, authentic to the streets, and led by the spirit for church folks. Learn to be all things for all people. Yeah, as Paul states. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
100,
he also
100,
said
exactly
the most symphonic, melodious sounding worshipers. Right? That's Noel Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a genius with that, man. He is on another level, man. They don't. There's not. I don't think there is there are very few that can out preach Noel Jones.
Right.
Yeah.
And I haven't met him yet. I mean, G.E. Patterson.
Yeah.
Was a storyteller.
TD up there though.
GE is right there, man. GE and Noel Jones.
And Jakes though.
Jakes is good. He's a different kind of teacher.
Jakes is a great preacher, man. I'm saying, but Jakes.
Never
mind. I'll just put it. Yeah, I'll put Jakes right up there with him. Yep.
But it kind of like 90s Jakes. Jakes don't preach like Noel anymore. He be teaching in series and narratives and breaking down.
Right.
But in the 90s though, when it was just go for it,
before he became an elitist.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for showing up and being here with the brothers.
I told him you got to pull the plug on that.
Appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
I'm not gonna say anything about the good Bishop TDJ. I like the brother.
Say anything bad about him.
Y'all think it's hate? It ain't hate.
No.
I know.
Right, Sam. Monday on BOL, we're gonna be discussing.
He took that evangelist hat off. Noel still got that evangelist hat on. That's all.
Right. So you make sure you guys tune in next week. We're gonna be talking about men and toxic masculinity. We're gonna be digging into that. Oh yeah. So strap in, hold on tight, because we're gonna go in a direction that you probably not gonna be ready for. All right. The music's right. The music expressed solely the pastor. You Americans understand.
No, Richard. No, Richard,
God.
they don't.
Nah, not just reading straight through, Rich. I got to sit there and break it down every 5 sentences.
Right. All right, guys. So we appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us all week long. Still your opportunity to share, because sharing is caring. And if you want to stay connected, make sure you join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Never miss a broadcast. Always know what happened with the brothers, Purpose for Forever, and the Sisters of Legacy. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Tag somebody. Still an opportunity to tag. We dropped some knowledge today. My brother, Dr. J.L. Adolph, dropped some amazing information. This will not be the last time we see him. I'm already claiming it.
Yes.
He will be on again.
Yes.
Definitely. So we appreciate him for being here and taking the time out. He said to me when we came on, he said, brother, this is early. But I appreciate the time. I'm gonna see if I can get him
good
back.
conversation though, man. I tell you, man.
Awesome.
We gotta have a conversation about the beard game, man, because all of y'all beard game is look. And can you trust a black man without facial hair?
Oh,
that gotta be the topic.
I
told you, trust a black man without facial hair.
I told you.
I cannot. I don't know. I need to know why you don't have facial hair, bro. I need to know what's the story.
Can you trust a white man with a mustache?
Oh, boy, I love this, Dr. Educated and scandalous. I love it.
Listen, it's still Freestyle Friday. It's still Freestyle Friday.
Yeah. And I'm still getting in trouble.
Right. Oh man, let's see. Judas and the Messiah. Right. You see Judas and the Messiah?
Yeah.
If you remember, my man had no facial.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that would be a no.
I'm just telling you, Michael Skill, I'm beginning to trust a little bit more now because he grew his mustache. I'm like, okay. Before I hated Michael Skill. I'm like, look at this man. He don't have a stash. I don't believe it. I'm like, this dude ain't even one of us. I'm like, come on, man.
So today's message. You side-eye the brothers without the stash.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
First time I heard that was 1996.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Dr. Cecil L. Chip Murray, pastor of First AME Church in 1990. He said that 1990.
I can't have a fresh face. No fresh face.
He said I don't trust any black man with no facial hair.
No. Yeah, I can't.
All right, guys.
Yep.
You know we got some dudes in the background like, I just don't like facial hair.
just don't run for office.
I need some new growth. I need new growth. It's new growth.
And the wife like, I told you, babe. I told you. All right, guys. Let's get out of here. I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Stay safe. Know that we love you, but God loves you more. And just keep wearing the mask. I know I hate it too, but just keep doing it till maybe 10 years from now. We'll see you on Monday. All right.
Shout out to Dak.
Yes, indeed. Later.
As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for hanging. Make sure sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that are watching the back.